We're back with a Fox News alert. We're learning more about the suspect in the D.C. National Guardsman shooting, including that he previously worked with the U.S. government. The 29-year-old Afghan national was part of a CIA-backed Zero unit in Afghanistan. The groups were Afghan paramilitary units created and supported by the CIA that worked directly with U.S. intelligence. They dealt with counterterrorism missions and specialized in raids against the Taliban and ISIS-K. The units disbanded after the U.S. withdrawal in 2021, during which time many of the members relocated or sought asylum. The vetting process was pretty extensive and included fingerprints and eye scans, what we call biometric checks against an interagency watch list like the DOD, DHS, FBI, and other intelligence communities, and in-person interviews for asylum and SIV. Joining me now to discuss, Marine Force Recon veteran Chad Robichaux, along with former Army Special Operations soldier and counterintelligence special agent Seth Jahn. Gentlemen, I know you both really well. First, thank you for your service. You guys are what we call pipe hitters. You've been on the ground. You know what fighting war is all about. You also know what the loss in war is all about. And you saw what happened in D.C. I'll go to you first, Chad. What's your first thoughts on this? And should Americans fear for their own lives for future attacks like this?
Yeah, it's absolutely tragic anytime we lose a service member. And unfortunately, a lot of us called this during the Afghan evacuation. I go back to 4 years ago when I wrote my book, Saving Aziz. I went back today and read it. I wrote that I pray I'm wrong, but I predict a attack of an Afghan national on American soil. And I mean, look, Joe, you know, I did evacuations and I got Afghans out of there, the right ones, but we never brought Afghans to America. We brought them to third-party lily pad countries so the State Department could do their job. This White House flew Afghans straight from Kabul into the United States without vetting them, and it set up a scenario where this was likely to happen. And I'm thankful it didn't happen sooner, but this is not a huge surprise, and it's a huge tragedy.
Yeah, it's amazing to me, Seth, that we can sit here and, you know, I've had conversations with you offline, with other friends that are very connected to this world and this specific effort. Explain to people what these zero units were and how they ended up here, and if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Chad's all over, by the way. So the predecessor to what you're calling the zero units were the CTPTs, the counterterrorism pursuit teams. They had a zero numerical designator with a number following it that essentially would assign them to whatever area of designation within that country they're operating within. They were essentially recruited, trained, paid, and armed by the CIA paramilitary branch. Underneath the NCS and the Special Activities Center, ground branch particularly, where they're running alongside, our JSOC elements. So their lineage actually came from the Green Berets of U.S. Army Special Forces training. They were recruited from the commando elements into these task force. And I think one of the most important things to ask is where they came from. As far as, I mean, Chad kind of alluded to it. These are not only remnants of the recklessness of the former administration's egregious Afghan policy, but is also an illumination into how the terrorist organizations have not only infiltrated but penetrated the fabric of our society, facilitated by what should be regarded historically as one of the worst and greatest foreign policy decisions ever made. So, as a former as a former CI special agent, my job was to identify exploit and neutralize foreign and adversarial threats to national security. So we were keenly aware of where these people were using database. I'm sure Chad even used some of the equipments called Seek, where they would upload the biometric information. But after that, when they came into the States via the SIV programs from the former administration, the special immigration visas, which, by the way, while AMSITs were still actively being hunted in Afghanistan, they weren't put into these secret databases. So, I look at an event like DC shooter as an individual, because what happened when Ghani was told to stand down essentially by our government, he's paid off to stand down. What happened to essentially one of the most equipped third world militaries in the world at that point, the Afghan National Army. You think that the Taliban just overthrew them in 3 days without a shot being fired? They had to either become Al-Qaeda or Taliban in order to survive. They became radicalized. I look at an event like DC shooter as essentially a tactical radicalization of that, not a strategic hit that would fill the objectives and priority intelligence requirements of a terrorist organization's a greater threat and hit within our United States.
No, I mean, essentially what you're saying, and what I've gathered from both of you guys, mutual friends we have, people that are still on the inside, is we don't always work with people that love America. We work with people that hate our enemy to kill our enemy. Most of the CIA and other operatives on the ground weren't doing this thinking they're training 9,000 people to come here. They were training them to keep them there and fight our enemies there. Chad, I'll give you the last word on it quickly.
That's so appropriate to say this, because just because someone's has been vetted to work with the CIA at Special Activities at Ground Branch, just like guys that worked with me at JSOC. I mean, I spent nights on the mountainside with a man named Bashir for 18 months, and then he flipped on us, turned us over. We had a V-bid driven to our house. Teammates were killed. I was abducted by a foreign intelligence agency because this guy flipped. We never know why they're going to flip. Just because they've been vetted to work with our special operations or CIA or our military, that is not the same criteria to come to America.
Absolutely. Listen, I appreciate both you guys for your service and for the things you're both still doing. Listen, you're absolute heroes. You're warriors is what you are. And it takes a certain bit of courage to come on TV and talk about this. And I really appreciate both of you. And, you know, in light of everything else, I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.